Now I'm on here making a video about Nicki because apparently y'all think that I'm biased, which I'm not. So I guess equally, I gotta do a video about Nicki. And so with this latest diss track, it shows just how much as women, that ego, like I've said in so many of my videos, ego driven. And sometimes we gotta learn to take accountability, recognize we're going too far, and look at ourselves and see how maybe I'm the problem. Now, Nicki, to me, is the problem. No matter who it is, she always has beef with some kind of female up-and-coming artist. She had the same thing with Lotto, Cardi. We can make a list of all the people she's had beef with. But with this whole Megan situation, she took it too far. Why is it necessary to talk about someone's deceased parents, someone's sexual life? Why is that always the blow that Nicki seems to take? And also, how old are you? Okay? What is it about Megan that triggers that ego? Nicki leads with her ego, and that's why in a lot of ways people don't F with her anymore. The industry has kind of turned their back on her. She's been blackballed, okay? Because this will be the death of a lot of people, ego death. And in this situation, she could have just been unbothered. She could have been living her life, because Nicki essentially has a lot of life that people want. The family, the kids, the money. From the outside, aesthetically, she has what a lot of people want. But still, it shows you that people with money, no matter where you are in life, you can be at the top, you can be at the bottom. When that ego wants to do what it do, all that don't matter. That hurt, it don't matter, okay? Because you have something that a lot of people want, okay? But apparently that's not enough. You know why? Because that stuff in here is not healed. Nicki, to me, comes off as a person who's very hurt, who has, in some people's eyes, everything. If you a Barb, you think that she your queen, she your Beyonce, okay? And if you're on the other side of it, you think that she's downright dirty, low, depending on whose side you are on. But when you look at this situation, I wonder, what is it about Megan that triggers her? What is it about these younger artists that forces her, I gotta lash out, I gotta go to my low, I gotta talk about your parents, I gotta talk about, your sex life, who you been effing. I'm gonna bring out all your secrets, because you know why? You hurt my ego. And some people are so ego driven that all they can focus on is getting this solved. How can I fix what you just did to me? And that is what's happening, is that you see a woman unraveling. You see her ego crushed, okay? And right now, nothing can solve her ego being fixed but to attack another woman. And I think there are similarities between both, and they both come from hurt families, hurt homes. Both are, to me, looking for attention in some ways, but are they getting attention from the right source? And people continue to feed into the beef. People continue to feed into the pain, because that's what sells. Toxicity, negativity, that is what sells nowadays. If you're boring if you don't talk about the negativity. If you're all about positivity, nobody cares about that. Nobody cares what you're doing right. Everybody cares about what you're doing wrong. Sensationalized stories, that is what sells. The lies are what sells. But apparently, Megan got to her. Okay. And like I said before, I don't think anybody is right in this. They're both wrong in different ways. But sometimes we get so caught up in these parasocial relationships of Nicki Minaj, the act, Megan Thee Stallion, the act, that we don't focus on what's behind that. And right now we're seeing with Nicki what's behind that. A woman who is hurt, a woman who is ego driven. And she has said for so many years, all these bees are my sons. That's been her thing for years, okay? And because of that, the way she approaches women dynamics, it makes me wonder about her own relationship with women in her life. What's her own relationship like with her mother, other women in her life? That so much so that she always has these relationships that are very negative with women. And in some ways, it seems like when new women come on the scene, She makes a single with them. She sometimes piggybacks off of their fame to move her forward. And I think at times you have to recognize, what's my accountability? How did I contribute to this? But instead of looking at myself, Nicki continues to lash out. And now the media is saying and turning their backs once again on her, all because of, I think the diss itself was not really put together well, but I also think that the fact that she talked about this girl's parents not being here, how she lied on her mom, dying. Who knows if that's really true? But why does that have to be something you bring up? You can't think of nothing else. Okay? Now, women have to think about, what is my role in this? If you continue to be driven by your ego, you're going to end up lonely. You're going to end up by yourself. You have to think about taking that ego away and working on it. But instead, people feed into that ego, and I'm sure it's people around her who are like, make more music. And from what I've heard, it's going to be some more diss tracks released. And notice how Megan has not said anything. Okay. Now, to me, Megan is giving unbothered, whereas Nicki is giving obsessed. So these are just my thoughts as a therapist. I think that the diss track kind of fell flat. I think from a woman of her caliber, people expected more, wanted more. But depending on what side you are, in the eyes of the Barb, she can do no wrong. Megan Thee Stallion, in the eyes of her fans, can do no wrong. But really, you have two women who have different wounds that are using music to kind of navigate those wounds instead of working on themselves. What are your thoughts? Do you think this is the end? Was it really that whack of a diss? Okay. Is this what we need in music? More women beefing? Are we trying to get back to days of Remy versus Nicki? That ether? That energy? I don't know. But I think that Nicki is ego driven. She needs to really decide and take a step back. Okay, let me reflect. But people who have ego driven traits, narcissistic traits, will never see themselves as a problem. Everybody else is the problem. That is what's happening here. And I don't know what it's going to really take for her to recognize my ego is too big for my life. Now, let me know your thoughts, because your girl can get into it. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.